I'm Carrie, a holistic health practitioner, trauma-informed coach, and a mom who's walked through some of life's darkest, hardest tests. And along the way, I've learned to transmute pain into purpose. Guided by lived experience, professional training, and a deep, deep intuition, I'm called to show you how to do the same. Let me show you how to trust yourself so that even if your branch that you land on breaks along the way, you'll know how to fly. Come as you are, wherever you are on your journey. I am so glad you're here. What's up, you guys? I want to come on and talk about relationships and how not random our relationships are. Every type of relationship that is in your life is literally predestined. And if it's not predestined, then it's there for a purpose. So it's predestined with purpose, but if it's not predestined, then it's there for a reason. And I'm talking about partnerships, like, intimate relationships. I'm talking about your children. I'm talking about your parents. I'm talking about your friends. All of them are your souls signed up for different lessons through people. I don't know what your beliefs are, but I do know that if you're here watching, you're called here for a reason. I trust that with everything in life. And perhaps there is a relationship in your life that you're wondering if it's good for you anymore, if you've outgrown it spiritually, emotionally, physically. And so maybe this will provide some clarity, perhaps. One thing that I do believe, and if you're new here, you just like as a review, spiritually, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I was raised Catholic. I am not practicing a religion. I just am deeply spiritual. And so I do believe in angels. I do believe in spirit guides. I'm looking at my altar. I do believe in helper spirits and energies. I do believe that when our friends and loved ones pass away, that they're just their soul is still very much alive and their vessel is what's gone. I do believe that they're going to guide us. I do believe we have guardians and guiders. I believe in all that. I'll do a separate episode on all of that. But something that I think people don't know, and something that like my psychic self, claircognizant self, does know in deepest knowing of my soul. And I was also shown that when I died and came back, that your children or your children to be, or your parents and your siblings and your friends, and even your animals, all are here for your soul's evolution. They are here to support. They are here to push. They are here to teach. They are here to hold space. They are here to inspire. They are here for lessons. They are here for a season or a lifetime. All of those like quotes around relationships that some people come in for a season or a week or, I don't remember the exact quote. One thing, like a little like backstory of how I met my partner, who we are very different, but we've been together for 20 years. One of the ways I knew that this was my person was, this was back when I was moving from Hermosa Beach to Arizona. And it was like the whole backstory was like very, very spiritual and like guided, I would say, like divinely guided, because it didn't make sense logically, but I just followed the pings. I literally quit my job in California, drove to the desert, was staying at my aunt and uncle's house, didn't have a job, didn't have anything lined up. And at the time I was in aerospace recruiter. And I got there, and within the 2 weeks, I started making phone calls to get like a job interview set up. And it's so random, but like it's so real. I was making calls and getting people's voicemails. So I was leaving a message like, "Hey, my name's Carrie. I'm blah, blah, blah." Well, I called this number and I got the voicemail of my husband. And literally, his voice came on the recording, and I was like, immediately got full body chills, and my soul knew his soul. Like, it's not going to be like that for everyone, but I'm just giving you an example of my soul knew his soul and was like, I know this voice. It was like my soul remembered him from past lives, I imagine. And, but it was funny because, so I left a message. I was completely disoriented. I was like, but when I met him in person, when he called me in for an interview, I didn't have that same like visual cue. Anyways, that is like a good example of like sometimes you'll meet somebody and you'll just be like, I know you. I know you. And, or like, you understand me, or like immediately you'll have like this knowing, this deep knowing. That's a good example of like a person that you've been in life with before, like not this life, obviously past life. And you may not believe in past lives, but we'll get there. I promise you, everyone. And so the partner that you choose often reflects the modeling from one of your caretakers. That's why like psychology says like you usually marry one of your parents, which is weird to say, but it's true. The reason we do that is because the subconscious loves familiar, predictable familiar. And so you'll feel your subconscious will track different patterns in when you're seeking a partner. And sometimes it turns out to be toxic patterns. The goal is to always heal and evolve and inside of all of your relationships, but for yourself. If you eventually get to like a partnership and have a family, you will then know that these children that, you know, you have become your children chose you and you chose them in a soul contract before you even incarnated into the vessel that you're in. Obviously, there's nuances to relationships and things can get really toxic and really no bueno. But if you find you'll often find that the most important relationships to you often trigger you, and that is I'm not telling you to stay in like a toxic relationship that triggers you. I'm just saying be willing to notice the triggers. Are they inspiring you to grow in the right direction? Are they reciprocal in the work that you guys are doing? So if let's just take like marriage or intimate partnership. It's important that both people are putting in effort in the evolution of their soul. And often that's not the case, but it's ideal. And I would say 98% of the time, people pick partners based on the healing of their soul wound. So what we've come here in this life to heal, we typically pick a partner that is going to either trigger those things or trigger those things to heal those things. I really encourage you to look at the similarities to both or one of your parents in how you were modeled what love looks like, what safety feels like in your nervous system, and how that shows up in your relationships. Because if you are someone that is like many, choosing not good for you people that are not inspiring change in the right direction in your soul, and you can't seem to find the right one, I would definitely go back and track what love was taught to you. So what that felt like to you, what it felt like in your nervous system, what beliefs are around that. Like for me, for example, I was always in trouble as a teenager. I referenced this in another video. I was abused by a sibling, and so it caused me to lash out and do things that were really destructive. At some point, I tried to tell my parents. They didn't believe me because I already like kind of lost the integrity there, which is not an excuse, but was in trouble all the time. So I was grounded. I was, you know, then I was literally always in trouble. The only time I wasn't in trouble was when I was sick. And I remember I had chronic strep throat. I had a really horrific case of mono in high school, sophomore year. And I just acutely to this day remember thinking, God, the only time I'm not in trouble, the only time I feel love from my parents, which isn't true, but I can see it now very clearly, is when I'm sick. So the belief formed over time that I am only loved when I'm sick. Maybe some of you can relate to that. And maybe there's some version of that that might be helpful. But that is literally how your subconscious is clocking, quantifying what love feels like and what love is from our caretakers. So it's complicated, you know, why my parents acted that way. And there'll be lots of videos on what happened to me and how I transmuted that pain. But it took a really long time for me to start to undo and unravel the belief that I had the only way I could feel love was to be sick. And I had a whole journey of chronic health issues, and hopefully some of the chronic health community, especially invisible illness, is here watching this. Like, I see you, I see you, I see you, I understand you. Please be open to the idea that this may be true for you on some level. Lyme disease is a huge spiritual disease in that way that so many of us struggle with. I have had it, I have it. It's awful. And the point is, I'm on a tangent. The point is that that belief, your body starts to believe your thoughts, and it literally starts to filter through who you pick, how love shows up for you. And literally for the first like 5 years of my relationship with when we were, I was dating my husband, I had strep still. I had strep once a month. It was still in the back of my mind, but for my soul, I had to learn eventually what's true. Is it true that I have to be sick to be loved? Okay, no, that's not logical. It's part of like unpacking these like belief systems, but it's also the relationships push you to look at those things. If you are in someone who is hungry to grow, look at those things. Look at who's showing up. Look at the way that love or what feels safe to you and what you tolerate and what's okay to you and what your boundaries are. Or if you don't have any, then like get some. It put me on a journey of like this undoing and transmuting of like, this isn't true. I can be loved without being sick. But it was like a whole like 8-year journey of learning that I didn't need to be sick to be loved. And every once in a while, it still comes back. And so I'm not saying like you're not really sick if you're sick. I'm not saying that. I'm not diminishing your experience. I'm just saying the beliefs that are formed and the relationships that we call in, including the ones that start at the very beginning with our caretakers from the womb, when you like choose. Yes, I do believe that like pre coming down into a body, we have different lessons and different people and different agreements to lessons that we're going to decide how we're going to learn them. And so many of those are through the relationships that we choose and let in. And so I really encourage you to look at your closest relationships. Are they working? Are they inspiring you to grow? And if not, like, some boundaries might be called forward. But super easy relationships are typically, it's okay. I mean, I'm not against having super easy relationships, but they're typically because you guys have been in life together and you know each other's soul. One really very complex form of soul contract relationships is our children. I'm going to make a whole other episode on teenagers, and for those of you parenting teenagers out there, God bless, Godspeed. But kids, that they relate, that the children that we have, and even the children that we, however you parent them, or if they're adopted or whatever, they choose us and we choose them. And they are going to be your biggest mirrors, your biggest testers, your biggest triggers. And they are going to trigger the fuck out of you. And it is on you, the healer, the one that's healing, to look at why, what's the trigger, why, and what, like, how is this serving my relationship? I can tell you that right now, my daughter is not only a huge mirror for me, but also a huge trigger for me because she's doing some things that I did at that age. And it is literally on me, the person that's healing, to still show up, regulate, not project my triggers onto her, but also really microscopically investigate what is this phase of our relationship teaching me? What do I need to know? It's bringing up all kinds of questions of like my adequacy as a parent and a mom, and like it's been triggering all kinds of powerlessness and fear because teenagers are scary. They do scary things to make you want to like, oh my God, don't do that. That's so not safe. It's complicated, but that is a great example of soul contract relationships. And so if what takes the tension out of it is to understand that it's a soul contract. and to really start to look at it with a different lens of, okay, I'm not just like fucked up and broken and choosing like all these fucked up people. You're literally choosing from, if you're on earth, you're here with a wound or many, many wounds. And so don't be, cutting people out and being like, that person's fucked up and that person's fucked up. Like literally everyone's fucked up. So I am a huge proponent of boundaries, but I'm also not going to tell you that everyone is going to show up and like, they're going to piss you off and they just are meant to be cut off. Sorry. Some people are, but some people are there to evoke the lesson that you agreed to. And so it's a journey. It's a journey of trying to, really flush out who is worth tolerating their wounds and your wounds. And are they making you a better person? Or is it ultimately not worth the pain that they're evoking? 99% of the time, they're there with a purpose. I 100% can say that from coaching hundreds of people, couples, my own relationship. It is such a soul contract because, well, first of all, like astrologically, we are like his north node is my south node and my south node is his north node. And if you know astrology, then that's like very telling. But one of the things that can help you, and this is a little bit longer than I wanted to go, is to understand that the relationships that are closest to you are usually 99% of the time soul contracts with soul lessons. And if you're willing to look at what that is, then it really reframes that relationship, makes you look at the person again. I mean, even your kids, it makes you look at them again and be like, oh, wow, you actually chose me. And they chose you because you can walk with them in this life. They chose you because you have what they need to get through what they signed up for. And again, I'll go into another episode on just parenting, but that is a very complex soul contract relationship, as is partnership. And it's why marriage can be really hard, or partnership. So hopefully that helps in some way. The way out is through. So you have to determine, is the relationship worth the things that it's bringing up? Is it evoking you to grow? And is it making you look at your own wounds and helping you grow into a better version of yourself? And are you helping that person? Because it's not your job to heal them, but partnership and children are definitely two relationships that you did sign up to help each other heal. And it can be extremely painful, I will say. So I hope that reframes and helps you look at your relationships a little bit differently. And you guys let me know if you want me to like go into that further, like deeper soul. It's stuff I could talk about for hours, but I hope that helps, and God bless you in your relationships. Thank you so much for listening to Bird on a Branch. If any of this has resonated, sit with it. Better yet, let me know by leaving me a comment on your favorite platform. And don't forget to subscribe and follow the show so that you never miss what's coming. See you next time.